Welcome to the How to Adult podcast, where we learn all things adulting. My name is Travis Walker, and I will be your host. And today's topic is a journey, a story of paying off $150,000 in debt in just 3.5 years. Incredible. So buckle up because we're about to learn how to adult together. We are back for another episode of How to Adult. And we've got a friend of mine, Morgan Greenway, is here. How you doing today, Morgan?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. So can you kind of give us an idea of who you are, maybe what you do for work?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a registered nurse at a local hospital. I live in Beaumont, Texas, and I'm a mom of two little boys.
Nice.
Yes.
And Morgan is here because her and her family just paid off $150,000 in debt.
Yes.
How does that
Yes.
feel to say?
Oh, it's crazy. Me and my husband we're still talking about it.
It's
We're
like
like,
an achievement of a lifetime.
yeah, we're like, we did that. We did that.
That is incredible. Well, I guess a natural place to start would be the debt accumulation. How
Oh
did we
gosh.
get to $150,000 and maybe the different types of debt that made up that $150,000?
No, yeah, it was a little bit of everything. A big chunk of it was student loans, of
Yeah.
course, but student loans, car notes, both of our cars, credit cards. I think we had like a personal loan, furniture loan, just a little bit of everything.
Just a good variety.
Yeah, just a good variety. We wanted it all.
Fair enough. And so this was both you and your husband, or
Yes,
did
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It was both me and my husband. Yeah, accumulation of both of our debts. We got married and we sat down and we are like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Woo, okay.
Um, so an interesting thing that not enough people talk about is did y'all not know the depth of each other's debt until you got married, or did y'all talk about it
We
before?
talked about it. We definitely talked about it. But I feel like, a credit card here and there, we're like, oh yeah, we forgot about that one. But we definitely knew going into the marriage how much debt we both had, you know,
Right.
and what we wanted our lives to look like. So
Yeah. When do you think that conversation kind of enters relationships?
oh
Do you think that
gosh.
it's before or right after, or you get that ring first and then you you
And
have
then
that
you have that hard
conversation?
conversation. I feel like you should be I feel like you should be having those conversations before you even get engaged. And we did, but I
Yeah.
don't think we ever until we got married, there was never like a plan to pay off all the debt, Like we were like, "Oh yeah, we're just normal Americans with student loans and two cars and credit cards. Like we're living like everyone else."
Yeah.
Um yeah, so definitely before you put the ring on the finger, sit down with the one you love and be like, "Hey."
Yeah, that's totally fair. And as you mentioned living like everybody else, and so as
Yeah.
I prepared for this episode specifically, I found that the average American is $103,000 worth of debt, and so that kind of brought to my mind is that, do you think debt accumulation is inevitable for Americans, or do you see another path that maybe you would have
Um,
taken?
I feel like unfortunately, I feel like it's just so common now.
Yeah,
And everyone thinks like, okay, if you go to school, then you're just going to take out student loans, or if you get a car, you're going to take out a loan.
yeah,
So unfortunately, I feel like with our society, it's just normal. It's become a normal thing, So it
yeah,
shouldn't be inevitable, but it's just kind of normal now,
right.
unfortunately.
It is definitely normalized in our society, and
Yeah.
something that is dangerous and people should be mindful of and people should
Yeah.
be aware of. But it's also a tool that can be utilized in a positive way. That's not what we're here to talk about today.
No,
Uh,
absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
but but it's how you use it. But let's go
Yes.
back to kind of your journey. what was that point of for you and your husband of, oh shoot, we need to start addressing this? What was that shift? What was that that
Yeah.
pivot for y'all?
So it was pretty in 2020, the year of COVID.
Yeah.
I was pregnant with our first son, and my husband at the time, he's now a teacher, but at the time he was working at a plant, and he got laid off. And
Oh wow.
yeah, because of COVID, and we were 2 months from having a baby, and it kind of just hit us in the face, like, okay, like this can happen to us, like how are we going to make ends meet? But he figured it out. He's now a teacher. We figured that out, and he got, we went through that rough path, and then that didn't even teach us. So then, after we had our little boy, after we had our little boy, we actually started looking at houses because just another thing on the checkbox to do.
Yeah.
Um, so we start looking at houses, and we fell in love with a house, of course. And then I'm always making a budget and stuff, and I sat down to put the numbers in, and I remember telling my husband, like, we can't afford a house with how much
Wow.
debt we have. Like, we're gonna have to, and we had to withdraw our offer, which was really hard, but it just felt right. And I told my husband, I was like, I don't, we didn't want to get ourselves in a big mess. So that was like a big shift for us. Him, getting laid off and having to struggle, and then falling in love with a house, but realizing that we couldn't afford it. So just walking away from that, and then starting our debt free life,
Yeah.
our debt
Yeah.
free journey. Yeah.
So we had that realization from that hard time with the layoff, and then
Yeah.
follow up with the having to retract an offer on a house.
Yeah.
So where did you turn after that? We had that realization
Yeah.
of, oh shoot, we're in trouble. So now where do we go to start that journey? Was there any educational things that you had
Oh
to
my
dive
gosh.
into?
Yes, absolutely. So we did the Dave Ramsey baby steps.
Okay.
Um, that's pretty much we follow Dave Ramsey program. Yeah, and we're still following it. So
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So what were some of those early steps in his process?
the first step is just to save $1,000 for like an emergency if something came up, and then the second one is to pay off your debt from the smallest amount of debt to the largest amount of debt, regardless of interest. So that
And
is what we started
is that the
doing.
snowball or the avalanche? I can't
That's this
remember.
that's the snowball.
It's the snowball. So paying off the snowball is the highest amount to lowest amount. And for the people listening that don't know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
the avalanche is paying off the highest interest rate first, and then going down in interest rate. And
Yeah.
so Morgan did
Snowball.
the amount of debt going down. So
So
what was that largest
it's
amount for
so
y'all?
it's for the snowball, it's smallest to largest to kind of get some like
I got
friction.
it
Yeah.
inverted. Okay.
Yeah. The largest amount was our student loans.
Okay.
And it was close to like $68,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, it's part of it, right?
It's
Yeah.
part of it. It's part of it. So, and during COVID, they stopped the interest, like accruing on student loans. And I told my husband, I was like, this is a good time. Like, this is a good time to pay off our student loans.
It was a great time.
Yeah.
We paid off my wife's student loans during the hiatus of interest
Oh,
rates.
awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a really big deal. It
Yeah,
was a
it
really
was.
big deal. So you started accumulating those small wins with
Hmm.
the snowball. Um, did you do any like ceremonial thing? Like when you knocked one out, you did something and then you moved on to the next one?
I mean,
Or did you just get a high five?
I mean, some of them were definitely high fives, like, "Hey, we paid off another student loan," but
Yeah.
definitely, I felt like the student loans, it was, you couldn't see it. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of like, oh, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like the car. Like when we paid off our cars, we're like, yeah, that's right. Like we own those cars.
They're ours now.
Those are ours, yeah. Versus the student loans, but we would celebrate with going on like a dinner date or something like that. So
Yeah, that's really good. I've outside of Dave Ramsey, there are other content creators that I've heard, and they encourage the celebration
Oh,
of different
absolutely.
milestones. So it's cool to hear that y'all did some celebration throughout the process as
Yeah.
well.
I feel like you have to. You have to.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm interested in the actual journey itself. Like there are
Mhm.
extreme people that find, Dave Ramsey or another financial guru out there, and they go, beans and rice, and they just go all out.
Go.
And there are some people that get the knowledge and do nothing, and
Right.
continue on with their lives. Where are you in that spectrum? Did y'all go extreme, or did y'all
Oh
go?
gosh. Now my husband 100% would say, "Oh yeah, we went extreme." He was a trooper. He was all on board. He was a trooper. I wouldn't say we ate beans and rice, but we definitely were mindful of what we spent on like out to eat,
Yeah,
groceries. If it was like meat on sale, we were getting it. Like we weren't living this lavish life. I actually during the process, I changed nursing jobs a couple of times to get my pay higher. That's just what you
yeah,
have. That's what you have to do. And my husband took on a couple of side hustles. So creating
that's
that
incredible.
shovel to, to help bring in the extra income.
Yeah. Another piece that we haven't even talked about, we talked about you paid off $150,000 in debt, which is incredible.
Yeah,
But another piece that makes that a really big deal is how long it took you. So how
yeah.
long did it take you to pay off
It,
$150,000?
yeah. It was not overnight. It was over a little over 3 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that was hard too because it was such a long journey, and within those 3 years, we had 2 kids. So,
Yeah. That's
so
huge.
yeah, but we wanted to do it when they were small, and our littlest one is 3.5 now, and I feel like he understands the value of money already. Just having to see what mom and dad went through.
Yeah, yeah. Some people, plant a tree when the relationship starts, or something. Y'all had a
Yes,
baby, and and paid
yes,
off in the little one's lifetime. That's incredible.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
well, awesome. So we've got the debt accumulation, and we understand the journey of how we paid it off. I'm curious on the back end of you've done it. This was recent, right? Sometime in 2020.
Recent. Yeah, it was last year. I would say we paid everything off probably September, October of last year.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm interested in the power that you've reclaimed, right? You don't have those payments anymore.
Right.
How have y'all shifted now that all this debt is cleared out? How has y'all's mind shifted? Y'all's action shifted? What does it feel like on the back end?
It's a feeling like no other. A feeling like no other, that's for sure. Yesterday we were able to take the boys to a place in Beaumont called Main Event and just have a good day with them. And then we were able
Yeah,
to go to Chick-fil-A. And me and my husband were just sitting at the table at Chick-fil-A, and I was like, man, like you just feel at peace. Like I can't even explain it. God is good. Definitely God
yeah.
is good. You know, it's just a feeling like no other. I've been in debt and now I've been out of debt, and I definitely like being out of debt. That feeling's better.
I can imagine so. I can
Yeah.
imagine so. That's incredible. Jumping back into the journey, I'm interested in. So we just talked about things that you've kind of reclaimed. What kind of things did you have to sacrifice throughout the journey, or definitely starting the journey? I'm sure there was a ton of sacrifice, and maybe throughout as well. But what
Yes.
did that sacrifice look like?
Um, Delayed gratification for
Oh,
sure. Yeah. um, we had to sacrifice, on buying a house. We're still not, me and my husband are in our 30s and we still don't own a house. And I feel like that's okay.
yeah,
Um, like I said, we were trying to keep up with everyone else and check all these boxes, just like the pressure that society puts everyone, that it just put on us at least.
right.
So we had to delay some some buys in life, I guess you can say. And then sacrificing time away from our boys. I work nights still as a nurse.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is just a sacrifice that we sat down together to make to get us out of debt.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So your husband's a teacher and then you work nurse nights?
Yes. Lots of
Goodness
juggling.
gracious.
Yeah, yeah. We have a good village. We have a
You
wonderful
have one of the
village.
best villages I've ever seen.
The best village, the best. Yeah, the
I
best.
don't I don't know if I know of a better village than y'all's village. It's incredible.
Yes.
It's incredible. Um, so let's dive into kind of the external factors. We've talked about the sacrifices. There are, I feel like there are external factors and maybe even internal factors as well. People not understanding what you're doing. They don't
Right.
understand why you won't come to brunch on a Sunday. They don't understand why maybe you're driving an older car or what that wasn't your case, but they don't understand these things.
Right.
Did you encounter any of those external factors? And if you did, how did you work through that?
Yeah, we were just really honest with all of our friends and family. And even if I mean a lot of half the time we would be like people would respond with like, "Oh, everyone's in debt. It's just normal." And
Oh yeah.
we would just be like, "Okay, like, whatever." But we were just and we had a good like I said, a good village, a good support group cheering us on. So there was never anyone that's like, "Oh, you can't do that. Shame on you." Everyone was just like, okay, like that's cool, and just kind of went on their way. So
That's so interesting. Yeah, people like to say that things are normal, like, and that's cool that it's normal for you, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna be okay with it. And
exactly, yeah,
and it sounds like that was very much so your journey of, it's cool that you think it's normal, but we don't want to we don't want to play this game anymore.
exactly, yes, yeah, yeah.
I'm really impressed with y'all's journey. I mean, paying off $150,000 in debt in general is a hard thing to do, and to do it in 3.5 years, y'all should be very, very proud of
Thank you.
your process. So I'm really happy for you guys. So I'm going to go into this final piece of advice, and I'd like to hear maybe what your final piece of advice is, and maybe what your husband would say too, because it sounded like y'all were in the same journey and kind of had different thoughts about it. So
Yeah.
what is that final piece of advice from those two standpoints?
um, Final piece of advice. I mean, communication with your spouse for sure.
Yeah,
There's a lot of communication that me and my husband had to do, and to know it's okay to be different. It's okay to not want to live in debt. And my dad used to say, I owe, off to work I go. And we just didn't want to do that. I just did not want to be like, okay, I owe all this money, so I'm gonna have to go to
right.
work. So
That's
yeah,
incredible.
so just be mindful of your money, manage your money
Yeah.
well.
What would your husband say? His final piece of advice.
um, Gosh, what would Austin say? He's like the chillest guy ever. He would just probably be like, "Yeah, listen to your wife."
Your wife doesn't want to be in debt. You gotta listen.
You gotta listen to her. Yeah. No, he would definitely say, yeah. He would probably at this point he now is like, what would Dave say? What would Dave say? So he would probably be like, what would Dave say before a purchase or something like that.
Wow. Wow. So on the back end, out of this debt now, have y'all reclaimed some pieces of your life that you had to give up for this journey, or had you pretty much stayed on a smaller budget moving forward?
I will say, we've been probably spending spending more than we should. I won't lie, because we don't have any car payments or credit card payments or anything like that. So we've been enjoying it, but we've also been saving for finally a nice vacation, and a nice emergency fund. So we've been saving and spending and
That's
giving.
amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. I've also noticed that you've started to make videos about money. If people want to go and watch your thoughts on this process, where should they go learn more from you?
I have a TikTok. I believe it's just Morgan Greenway. So, and there's more to come too. So, I'm starting to work on a couple of things. So, yeah, every now and then I post a couple of TikToks about our money journey.
That's incredible. Well, y'all definitely go learn more about Morgan and watch her videos. Incredible journey, really impressive. And we are going to continue to learn how to adult together. Thank you so much to Morgan for coming on the show and helping us all learn how to adult. To stay up to date on all things How to Adult, make sure that you follow at How to Adult TW on Instagram and Facebook. And remember, we're going to learn how to adult together. See you next time.